Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Gwent, and today we're playing more of the Double Down seasonal event, which is an alternate game mode in which, at the start of the match, every card in our deck gets duplicated, and every time we play a unit, we will also play a unit with the same provision cost from our deck. Today we are playing an extremely silly, simple, but surprisingly powerful deck that I can't believe actually works. So let's go give it a look. So today we'll be playing a Syndicate lined pockets deck that is built entirely around one card. And that one card is the Sly Seductress, because every time our opponent plays a unit, or if we have at least two of them on the board, every time our opponent plays any type of card, it will get boosted. And in this event, because most of the time our opponent is playing at least 2 cards per turn, that means we can have, if we have a bunch of Seductresses, a whole bunch of cards that get boosted at least twice per turn, and that adds up very quickly. So every single card in our deck is in some way, shape, or form either here to help us create more of these, or get boosted as we create more of them. So, obviously we have 2 Seductresses, but we also have things like Adriano the Mink to create even more Seductresses, Igor the Hook to create more Seductresses, Yrden so that when we create more Seductresses, we create even more Seductresses, Megascope, which, because it's not a unit, we only get 1 copy of it when we play it, so it's not as effective, but it also creates another Seductress, and even Passiflora, which also creates additional Sly Seductresses. Then we have more complementary cards like Avallac'h Sage so that we can get our scenario on the board. In fact, both copies of our scenario on the board, because remember, in this event we get every card in our starting deck duplicated, including our scenario. And obviously the Seductresses can trigger the scenario because they are Blind Eyes, but so are Passiflora Peaches. And from all of our spawning we'll get boosts on both the Fallen Knight and on the Eternal Fire Priest. Then we have some crimes like Pickpocket to help us get the coins to make sure we can continue to spawn in those Seductresses. Same idea with Shakedown. And at the end of the round, when our board is full of all the units that we spawned in, we can use Bone Talisman to give all of our units a boost. Then in subsequent rounds, we can use whatever other Seductress spawning methods we still have remaining, or even use Renew or Necromancy to replay those Seductresses from our graveyard. So that's how we generate all of our points. But then we also have, as our finisher, Geralt Yrden, because much like we are doing, a lot of our opponents will be using boost-centric decks, so being able to play 2 Yrden so we reset both of our opponent's rows is just way too powerful to pass up on. Just make sure that you keep at least 2 spots remaining for both of those Geralts to be played on your last turn at the end of round 3, because you might get a little carried away with all that Seductress spawning. So there's a look at the deck, and like I said, it really is incredibly simple. Just play the Sly Seductress and create as many copies of it as you possibly can, and in doing so, you will get a ton of boosts. So let's go see it in action. Alright, so going up against Northern Realms here. And they'll go first. Alright, so we have a Sly Seductress here, and that is the card that we want to create a bunch of copies of. We have a Necromancy, which we can use to get it back in a later round, but that's not so relevant in round 1 unless it gets destroyed. I don't think the Plunder is going to be all that big of a deal. We'd like to find other ways to create copies of you, and we could make some of that happen with Oneriomancy. Oh, let's get rid of you as well. And Megascope. It's not a great way to make it happen, but it is a way to make it happen. Alright, they start with Temerian Drummer. And yeah, the fact that they are Stockpile suggests that they are likely a Siege deck, but some boosts as well. I mean, I suppose, even with Siege, you want to get the crew abilities triggering, so you have some soldiers. Okay, so I think we will still start with the Seductresses, but then I think it's going to be pretty important that we use Oneriomancy to get a way to multiply them, or go Oneriomancy to go Avallac'h into double scenario in this round, and we can use... Technically, this would be a card we'd like to use in that case. This would trigger 1 chapter. We may be able to get another one out from our deck when we use this, similarly when we play either of you two. I guess that's a high enough probability that we're okay with still leading off with you. Although technically, that's going to give us a lot of spawning. Let's go this first. Okay, Rafford's Vengeance is going to give them a lot of damage. And a Radovid, ooh. More charges on their leader ability. Alright, honestly, that card was less important compared to the Eternal Fire Priest, so we're okay with it. We don't have a lot of coin spending, to be honest. So let's now go Oneriomancy into our other Onero, so we get both echoed copies in round 2. And then with this, let's go Avallac'h, range row, and go scenario with this one, and then we'll get another Avallac'h out here, which we will also use to get our other scenario. So obviously they have damage, which does concern us a bit, because we would like for these Seductresses to stay alive. We obviously have more here, and we can bring one back with Necromancy if necessary, but I'd rather not do that. We could, if we feel so inclined, opt to use our leader ability to get some more coins and put some shields on them, which a case could be made for doing that. But as we can see here, at least initially, they are not going the damaging route. That will have some damage, but by the time they've played a few cards, the Seductresses will already have received some boosts. So it's going to be hard for them to out-damage those boosts that we're receiving. Alright, now Amphibious Assault. That might be for more, however. Yeah, they will get more damage here, but again, you play more cards, and that is very much what they are doing. We are going to get more boosts. And they're just staring down the Seductress like, how the heck do I get rid of this thing? Because it gets boosted so frequently. But now let's go with Peaches here, I think, because that will trigger at least the first chapter, possibly the second, depending on what 4 provision cost card we get out from our deck here. And okay, it's not really the one we wanted. That's why I put you down first, was because I knew we were going to get some more spawning here. And at this point, I mean, we are going to get... we could have gone this Seductress, but kind of like to save at least some of them for round 3. We could use leader ability to get up to 4 coins if we are to play you on our next turn, or play you and get Peaches out from our deck. Then we are going to trigger it, and that will absolutely, in fact, over-generate coins in that case, but we'll play it a little bit safe here, and sure, we'll risk that we end up over-generating coins, but it immediately activates all these Peaches. And so now, yes, they can try to address one of these threats, but it is going to be hard for them to address all of the threats, and as we were saying before, well, they may be able to make it happen on this turn. They may be able to, because that is not playing a card when they use their leader ability, so that is a way to destroy one Seductress. But of course, we have more where that came from. We can actually get that Seductress back out if we absolutely need to, but again, would like to save some Seductresses for a later round. Okay, here's more damage. Of course, the random damage happens to it. And both occasions... wait, this is random damage, right? Is it not? Okay, sure. Rafford's Vengeance, definitely random damage, both on a, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was, 1, 8, is, what, 1/64th chance of that happening? Less than a 2% chance of both of those damage procs hitting the Seductress, but okay. Sure. Let's go Tax Collector, and we'll see if we end up getting the Peaches out from our deck, and we might use the coins to put a shield on you. I think we very well may. It is Peaches. Okay, great. Triggers the last chapter of the scenario, which just gives us more coins. As I said, it meant that, you know, we very well may have seen ourselves over-generating coins. We don't have a lot of ways to spend coins unless we were to break out one of our Seductress spawners, but after using Onero and not having one in hand, we just didn't have the ability to make that happen. So now they're prioritizing the Peaches, and we have a lot of them. And Radovid, again, might give them... in fact, we'll probably give them Rafford's Vengeance from deck. Yeah. Okay, so... yeah, we don't have great ways to spend coins at the moment, because that's mostly there for Adriano and really mostly Igor. So that's not a huge deal. Megascope is not great. Yes, it does give us more of the Seductresses, but just not great pacing-wise. Doesn't really do much to match what they're doing here. I mean, we might need to go double Seductress here. I think we probably do. I wanted to save some, but I think we'll have enough available to us. And still at 4 coins, even if we put shield on one of you. And 4 coins is the important threshold, so perhaps we'll do that. And we are still generating a little bit of coins from this tax collector as well. Yeah, so their damage is adding up here, and at this point they probably can damage us quickly enough to destroy a Seductress before it gets boosted up, as we just saw. Especially if they're smart, and they were, and do the damage before they play the cards. That way, they're doing the damage before the Peaches, or rather, before the Seductresses receive all those boosts. Alright, that's not a very big play there. However, we are at a point now where it starts to become much more difficult because, as we said, we don't have good spenders right now. Megascope, pacing-wise, is not really enough. Necromancy we could use to get either a Seductress or a Peaches out from our deck, and then play another card of the same provision cost from our deck, which could be another Seductress, could be another Peaches. Don't really want to do that for Seductress because I want to get one of those out through Necromancy in round 2/3, but if we don't do that now, we are probably just passing/losing this round. So, I guess we'll still do it. But I'm gonna do it with Peaches. Little less of a high priority now. That priest is not very helpful. So we do have passive boost from all the Peaches. So even if they pass, they have some as well. But we'll get, what, 1, 2, 3, 4... 4 points at the end of our turn here, so it's not enough yet, but we can use Bone Talisman as a finisher. And that gives us, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we're up to 80 plus 4, so 84. How many points are they receiving per turn? Just 2 from these guys? Yeah, I think we have it in that case. If my math is correct here. So we take one more turn, they're going to get one more turn of boosting, but we will pass them. So yes, they had a lot of damage, but we still found a way to make the engines work there for us in round 1. Alright, and we draw to Adriano, which is another way to get Seductresses, so that's great, because that is one of the things that we were kind of missing the previous round. We can use Oneiro to get... We'll probably do Igor and maybe Yrden/Adriano, depending on what we end up getting when we play you. I think we'll dump this Megascope, and there is a Seductress from our deck. Now that is... Okay, yeah, that still works. That still works. That means we won't really need one of the Necromancies, because this will get the other Seductress out from our deck as well. Let's keep this here. We'll keep the Mahakam Ale in case one of them gets locked, although... You know, it's not a huge value play. Eventually, toward the end of the round, we will probably see our rows get full, though. So either this or, ideally, another Bone Talisman would be our best finisher. But we did play one more card than our opponent in round 1, so I think we will still pass here. Yeah, we're going to lose a little bit of the coin carryover, but we still have Pickpocket in our hands, so that shouldn't be a huge concern. Surprised they're using Amphibious Assault here, though. I mean, yes, it's to get one of their weaker cards, but still, Amphibious Assault in and of itself is a powerful card. Maybe they know that those tutor cards, like AA, are just going to make the Seductresses even stronger. Alright, well, there are all the cards that I was planning on tutoring. Igor, Geralt, we can still use Oneiro to get another Adriano if we'd like, but at that point, it's going to be 2 Adrianos and 2 Idarrans is what is also going to come out when we do that. And that's pretty crazy how much unit spawning we're going to have. So, then what is that other Oneiro going to be for then? I mean, honestly, it could even be for Bone Talisman. What is the Renew for? Because I'm not even sure we need that. So we are already going to get the Seductress out from our deck, so it's just 1 additional Seductress there. So let's swap you. I think that's okay. Because we are going to, as I just said, have a ton of spawning. So this will get a lot of boosts. A Muta Generator. Are they trying to do like an Erland finisher? Alright, the other thing we need to be super, super mindful of is, especially when we are planning to use Yrden as our finisher, we need to make sure we have enough board space remaining at the end of the match to do double Yrden, because this indicates they're going to be doing a lot of boosting. So let's start with the double Seductress. So we immediately start to get some boosts from them playing more units. But we are gonna probably go you next and then break out Igor and Adriano and all that stuff. We want to make sure we have some more coins before we use Adriano, so we should use some charges there. Archer will give them some damage. I mean, we know what they're trying to do with all the damage. But if we can get these boosted up quickly enough, it'll be hard for them to catch us. And honestly, if they destroy a few of them, given how much we're gonna try to spawn here, I think that's not a terrible thing. So let's go for you next in preparation for all the spawning. And Peaches is, well, that's not ideal, because I'm not sure we're going to be hanging out at 4 coins or more all that much in this round. I mean, yes, I suppose we can use our coins now, but for the most part, we are reserving these for Igor and for Adriano. I guess we still have Pickpocket, though. Alright, Carabalista. Surprised they did not damage first. Because, as we were saying before, if they play units first, then we're getting the boost first, and it just makes it harder for them to catch these guys. Go for Peaches. Absolutely. Take Peaches out instead. As I just said, not nearly as valuable as the Seductress is, and I'm not even sure we're going to be able to build around it. So, now that we've set up this Priest, and you will become a big engine, let's go probably Igor here, and we're going to want to... yeah, use this last one to at least not have to use the Insanity on one of the Igors. This will bring out the other Igor from our deck. We'll put each of them in a separate row. Use this last leader ability charge, so that way we can do this. And this one I will trigger the Insanity on. Get the another Seductress out here as quickly as possible. So if you want to destroy one of our Igors, you want to destroy a Peaches, honestly, I think that's okay. I mean, if you destroy the Seductress, that's a little less okay, but obviously we have the capability to still create more. And as I was saying, this is going to very quickly fill all of our board space, especially once we get Adriano plus Yrden down here on our next turn. So I'm curious if they use this on Igor, or if they try to target a Seductress. They should go after Igor, I would think. Okay, no, Peaches down. Honestly, you're helping us. You're creating board space for us. So now we could see Adriano is actually profit 5 at this point, because the more Seductresses we have, the more he gains for profit. So we kind of want to wait to play him to a certain extent. Or, you know, we could use this Igor and Sandy ability, and then we're actually on net gaining a little bit from activating this tribute ability. So might go that route. Might go that route. So now we do this. And honestly, so we'll pay the tribute, yes. Make sure you have enough coins when you do this, and because we have so many Seductresses now, that's not difficult to make that happen. But, honestly, as you can see, we already have so many Seductresses here that we might not even go the Yrden route anymore. I mean, these Igors are both on 1 power now. You'd think they'd go after them. They still could. But they're trying to go after the Seductresses instead. Which, I mean, I get it. Those are the cards that are getting boosted. On the other hand, if you don't get rid of the Igors, we're going to keep on creating more of them. So next turn, if they don't destroy Igor, is probably just Pickpocket and get some more coins to use Igor more. Okay, Necromancy. They have it too. And obviously, at this point, we can use Onero into Necromancy or into Renew and get more Seductresses that way as well. Okay, so what do we want? Just double check Onero. What might we want here? Again, Yrden would have probably wanted to play him earlier. If we were going to use him, he would have had the chance of coming out with Adriano. But we got the other Adriano instead. I mean, that's fine, but I think we may instead opt for... Let's go Pickpocket here. And in doing so, we're actually going to overgenerate. A little bit. What if we... I'm trying to see if there's a clever way to just get a little bit of coinage and activate one of these Igors on this turn. I mean, we could put a shield on you. I guess we will do this. Shield on you, and then now we're not over-generating. We might have still over-generated, but just do this. Yeah, I thought we were gonna be at, what, 8 coins? But we weren't. It's a little surprise. So, I mean, for what it's worth, we're still distracting them with all these Seductresses. Okay, Temerian Drummer gives them a little more boosting, but potentially damage from the pikeman, or will be damage from the pikeman. Okay, now again the question is, what do we do with Onero? And I think they've destroyed enough Seductresses that we might just get some back with Onero into Renew or something like that. That will notably only get one of them, because it plays only one copy of Renew, or one copy of Necromancy, and we would only get another one if we still had one in our deck, but we don't. So it's not fantastic for that reason. So I might actually prefer... Do we have... Yeah, we have another Pickpocket in deck. Tell you what, I think we're going to do what we did last turn. That being, we're going to put a shield on a Seductress. We're going to go Onero into Pickpocket. And they're going to forfeit. Just too many Seductresses for them to handle. Alright, so going up against Northern Realms here. And they'll go first. Alright, so we actually have both copies of our scenario in hand, which, when you play one copy of your scenario, you do not automatically get the second because it is a artifact, not a unit. So there's something to be said for having these, although getting Avallac'h Sage would give us 2 on 1 turn. That is usually the best way. Let's dump this first. A double Onero means we... well, we would like to get rid of both of them if we were going to use Avallac'h to get these. So, alright, I guess we'll just play them from hand in that case. What else would we like to switch out? Maybe Tax Collector? Except we don't want 2 Fallen Knights, because we only have these 2 Fallen Knights in our hand, and they are only 6 provision cost units, so if we play one of them, we're getting nothing out from our deck, so that is kind of just a wasted opportunity. So we'll hold off on these. I think what we'll do is we'll start with the Eternal Fire Priest, though, because that is similarly something that gets boosted when we spawn in stuff, and when we use our scenarios, we will spawn in stuff. So let's just start with this, then we do the spawning, and we get another one out from our deck. That's great. That was not guaranteed, because we do have some Passiflora Peaches that we had the chance of getting, or obviously the Tax Collector that we mulliganed out of. Alright, their Onero into their other Onero to get both echoed copies in round 2. And then, okay, they're doing all of their echoed stuff here to get Donimir. Oh, how I wish that we had some Sly Seductresses on the board when they had done that, because they would have gotten astronomical boosts from all those cards they just played. But, well, now is the time to at least get one on the board from this first Passiflora. And give these guys boosts. So again, usually you would prefer to use Avallac'h Sage, because that would get both of them down on the same turn, so it's a little bit slower in this case, but the upside is we don't clog our rows with the 2-power Avallac'h, two 2-power Avallac'hs that are not engines, so they don't really benefit us much long term. Oh, okay, are they a Centurion Royal Guard spam deck? If so, then yeah, they're going to be playing a lot of cards, and so, again, really want to get the Sly Seductresses down here as quickly as possible, because these are gonna get scaled up pretty quickly, and we would like to try to keep pace, but we are not playing you from hand, we are playing you from hand instead. Now we have the bonded ability, which means no matter what they play, we're getting boosted. It doesn't have to be a unit. Okay, Boiling Oil on this one, I mean, that does make some sense. We do have ways to get them out from our graveyard, but we could just play this one from our hand, and in fact, we would like to do that so we can trigger our scenario. And the Sly Seductress is our only 5 provision cost card, which means when we play this, we are guaranteed to get another Seductress out and guaranteed to trigger both chapters of both scenarios in one turn, which is pretty sweet tempo. Get out some Peaches, do some spawning, get the other Seductress out here. We will load up on now maximum coinage, so these Peaches will get boosted. Alright, full test to probably create even more of those Royal Guards, right? Yep. Probably another full test for more Royal Guards. That all makes sense. So they have some strong engines on the board as well. Question for us is now, what do we want to do with these Oneros? Because we have 2 Seductresses remaining in deck. But even without those Seductresses, we have other ways to make additional Seductresses. Igor is an amazing way, but I'd like to save him for round 3. Yrden can help us spawn in more. I mean, we might have wanted to lead off with him in that case, but we could go Adriano, which has the chance of giving us an Yrden or the second Adriano. I think that might be the play here. Wherever he went. Probably already went. I absolutely went past one of them, but here we go. Pay the tribute, and we'll get the other Adriano, okay. Pay this tribute, and because we already have more Seductresses, it means that his tribute is cheaper. So we did not have to make a point of... I mean, we already had a bunch of coins, but sometimes you need to make sure that you still have coins remaining to be able to trigger this. Now, the Margaritas will presumably look to lock one of these, or 2 of these Seductresses, but we can use this Onero to unlock one of them. Okay, let's see. They almost didn't catch us there. They nearly did not. And yeah, I guess we'll probably go Onero. I mean, this is not going to be worth a ton of points here. But if we go Onero into 1 Mahakam Ale, and we're only going to get 1 because this is not a unit, so we only create 1 copy of it. So then we get a boost and we purify one of these Seductresses, and given how we are already... Actually, tell you what. We're getting, what, 2 boosts at the end of our turn from Peaches? We could pass now and force them to play more cards. Are they getting... but they're getting boosts every turn. Now we still need to do this. We do still need to do this. Because, yeah, we're going to get the 2 boosts here, which would have overtaken them slightly, but then they would have gotten a little more boostage from the full test powering these guys up, so still wouldn't quite have been enough, technically speaking. But now, here on this turn, we could pass, because we already have a big enough lead, even with that relatively small previous turn, that especially once these Peaches kick in, we are going to be, what, at 101? And they're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points per turn. So we'd be tied if they didn't play anything, but we'd be a card up, and we'll live with that. So, puts them in a tough spot here, if my math is correct. Do they pass now and tie and go a card down in round 2, and that would be a deciding round 2? Or do they play a card, go 2 cards down, but take round 1? Even then, it's not all that simple, because with 4 Seductresses on the board... Okay, well, Sentry and Royal Guard is worth a lot. That will definitely be sufficient. Even after we get our boost here, I would say they were probably hesitant to do that, because they want to save their guards, but they are, of course, spawning more with full tests. Alright, so we draw into our 2 echoed copies of Onero. That's great. We would like to get rid of one of these Fallen Knights, because, again, they are only 6 provision cost card in our deck, so now we can at least make sure that we get 2 of them out when we play this guy. Avallac'h can still get a Megascope, but he's mostly here to get the scenarios, and we obviously already played those, so I think we still dump him, and there is a Megascope. So I'm assuming they're probably going to try pass, because they played 2 more cards less in the previous round. Yeah, that makes sense. So I think we'll use Peaches as our throwaway here. And get the other Peaches out as well. Peaches, definitely best when you're using your scenario, and less so in round 3 when I'm thinking we will use cards like Igor to spawn in as many Seductresses as possible, and that's going to cost us a lot of coins, so we are not always going to be finishing our turn with 4 coins, so for that reason Peaches is a little bit harder to sustain. Alright, the game really wants us to have Avallac'h. I think we ideally dump these two and we hope for not drawing into the other Avallac'h and not drawing into the other Fallen Knight. Okay, but that doesn't really help. Alright, Idarran guarantees we get the other Idarran. Because it's Idarran and Adriano, who I believe we played in round 1, are our only 8 provision cost cards. But before we do that, let's get Fallen Knight out here. We'll get the other one as well. And that way we'll get a lot of boosts when we do all this stuff. And we're going to go... Ooh, this is a little bit tricky, actually. This is actually a little bit tricky. We do not have all the cards I would like to have here. We need setup for Idarran, and we don't really have it. Because, I mean, yes, we could spawn with Megascope, which is something, but we need to have the Seductresses out here first, and we don't currently have a way to get them unless we go Nero to get, say, Renew or Necromancy. Wait, do we have No, we did not have Necromancy in hand. I just saw both of them in our deck. Yeah, so that's one. Onero is to get the Sly Seductress, and the other one would be to get Igor. But we want to have one of these for Geralt Yrden as well. So we can't get... We have 3 cards we want to get and only 2 tutors. That's not good. Okay. That's actually a humongous problem. We'll generate coins because we can. And bide our time a little bit. But, I mean, Igor is our primary coin spender. And if we don't have a way to get him, then that's no good. So, I mean, is the Megascope just going to be our one and only way to get the Seductresses out here? It might have to be. I think it does. Let's go Onero now and use this to get either Renew or Necromancy. Both of them are functionally for the same purpose. I mean, unless technically Adriano... Ooh. Okay, no, that's what we should have done. We should have gone Idarran first, then Adriano was technically the right play. But that is no longer an option because we just burned through one of the shooters we were going to need to use to make that happen, and we needed Idarran on the board first. So, alright. In that case, yes, it's not quite as strong. It's going to take up a little less board space, which I suppose there's something to be said for that, because we are going to be taking up a lot of room here. Alright, and I think they're going to get a ton of boost from just absolutely maximizing the Centurion Royal Guards. So that's why we really cannot afford to give up on Yrden as our finisher. So, also this Pickpocket's going to be pretty useless for us. Yikes. Yeah, this hand turned out to be rather bricked. Again, there was a workaround. There was still a workaround. And that was going to be, to a certain extent, get Idarran first, then use our previous Onero to get Adriano, because then we could have spawned in the Seductresses and gotten the extra spawning from these Idarrans. And rather than just get 2 Seductresses, we would have had 4 Seductresses. And obviously, the more Seductresses, the better, at least until we run out of board space. Okay, Pavetta is to get more of the guards back into their deck. So I don't know if this is enough. Our hand was bad. It was workable, but this is definitely not the perfect outcome. I'm going to spawn in Seductresses via this Megascope, and that's really the only way we have to spawn them left. So we will get 2 extra Seductresses from the Idarrans, yes, but on this turn, it's either a preemptive Bone Talisman, or a throwaway Pickpocket, and I think it has to be throwaway Pickpocket, because we've... Well, I mean, technically we can put shields on you. I suppose we'll do. So there's no reason not to. And then we use Pickpocket, which does trigger the Intimidate on these guys at the very least. So that's something. But again, the coins were supposed to be for Igor, and we just never had the ability to get Igor. So there is the spawnage from Idarran, and we love to see them play Onero. We love to see them play Amphibious Assault. The more cards it takes you to tutor in your cards, the better. So that means more boosts. for our Seductresses, and if you're using Onero to get Amphibious Assault, then that means you don't have Onero to get a Geralt Yrden, which would be the best way to counter what we're doing as well. But now that we at least have spawned in 3 more Seductresses, now I feel better about Bone Talisman. It's not going to get any better than this unless we actually use it at the very end instead of Geralt, but, you know, we'll do it here. Again, I mean, technically we could put shields on. I suppose we should put shields on, so we are generating 2 coins per turn anyway. Alright, so Nero, is this for Yrden? No, it's not. No, it is not. So is this last card in their hand Yrden? If it is not, then I think we win. And it's still a lot of units on the board. But let's go put the shields on, because we can. Don't have any other purpose for the coinage. And now we'll go Bone Talisman again. And we're going to finish with Onero into double Yrden. But what is their last card? If it is Yrden, I think they have more units. I think they will win. It's Heatwave. I don't think that's enough. It only Heatwaves one of our cards. So now we go Onero and use that to get the Yrden. Is this enough? They have a ton of boosts. But we can, of course, reset all those boosts. And after doing so, we will take the win. So there's a look at a Syndicate Sly Seductress deck for the new Double Down seasonal event. If you liked the video, then make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below to let me know which other cards, archetypes, and factions you'd like us to experiment with next. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you next time.